It all started during my final year of college. I was out with a group of friends at a bar near campus when I accidentally bumped into a woman celebrating her 21st birthday. Her drink went flying right into her lap. I apologized immediately, feeling like a complete idiot, but instead of being mad, she laughed. That woman was Olivia. We started talking while I helped clean up the mess, and it felt like the world kind of paused for a minute. People always talk about love at first sight, like it's something out of a movie, but at that moment, I started to wonder if maybe it was real. After that night, we were inseparable. A year later, we got married. My name's Mike, short for Michael. I studied accounting and ended up getting my CPA license. I worked for a well-known firm in Atlanta for a few years before branching out to start my own accounting practice. Olivia, who had a business degree, supported us financially during those first tough years of building the business. Eventually, we got some amazing news. Olivia was pregnant. When our daughter Grace was born, everything changed in the best way possible. Life felt like a dream. Over the next 10 years, I focused on growing my company while Olivia ran the house and raised Grace. Our relationship was strong, grounded in real love and mutual respect. We didn't get wild in the bedroom, but we were happy. Our intimacy was about connection, not just sex. And even after all those years, she still made me feel like the most loved man on earth. From the moment we said, "I do," Olivia showered me with affection, kisses, hugs, sweet words. Even friends who thought it wouldn't last admitted we had something special. When Grace turned 10, Olivia told me she wanted to go back to work. With Grace in school and on a steady routine, Olivia didn't want to sit at home every day anymore. We had long talks and worked out a schedule so Grace would still be our priority. Olivia landed a job as a personal assistant to a lawyer named James. He was about 10 years older than her, but the job had good hours. She was always home by 4 p.m. It worked out perfectly. Life kept getting better. We lived in a nice apartment complex with access to a country club, and my business was doing well. We were saving for Grace's college and our own retirement. We had no major issues, no money problems, no serious health scares. We were lucky. Our sex life naturally slowed down over time. By then it was usually Friday and Saturday nights. Still, Olivia stayed affectionate, always thoughtful, always loving. And I gave that back to her the best I could. When Grace hit 15, she started thinking about college. Olivia was still with James, and her job seemed to make her genuinely happy. She kept herself in great shape, slim, long legs, graceful walk. She was beautiful in a subtle, elegant way. We weren't party people. We preferred staying in, watching movies, going to family outings. We never really went anywhere without each other. Then one day, James called to let me know that Olivia was going to be honored at a banquet the next month. Grace and I were invited, but it was a surprise. They didn't want Olivia to know. She was being recognized for her outstanding work over the past 5 years. I felt proud and told Grace, who was just as excited as I was. Around the same time, Olivia mentioned she had an upcoming business presentation at a hotel. She had been working hard on it for weeks, totally unaware we were going to be there. Grace and I planned to surprise her. We even went shopping. She picked out a nice dress, and I bought a new suit. We wanted her to be proud of us, too. On the night of the banquet, Olivia looked amazing. She wore a classy, knee-length dress with a tasteful cutout in the back. Even after 37 years on this earth, she still turned heads. Before she left in her limo, Grace and I hugged her and wished her luck. 2 hours later, we showed up at the event. The staff greeted us like royalty and seated us at a prime table close to the stage. Everyone there seemed to adore Olivia, and they treated Grace and me with so much kindness. We were glowing with pride. The lights dimmed, and the event started. James got up and gave an introduction, praising the firm's successful year. Then he introduced Olivia to present. She walked on stage with confidence, spoke clearly and passionately about the firm's achievements, and wrapped up her talk after about 10 minutes. She looked incredible up there. Then James stepped back up, gave her a heartfelt hug, and announced she would receive the Chairman's Club Award, the company's highest honor, along with a $10,000 bonus. Olivia turned toward us with tears in her eyes. Grace beamed, and I felt like my heart could burst from pride. After the applause died down, we all mingled. I told Grace I'd grab us some drinks and headed to the bar near the stage. Spirits high, I tipped generously and made my way back with a double jack for me and a soda for Grace. That's when everything fell apart. Behind the stage curtains, I noticed a couple locked in a passionate kiss. At first, it felt random. Then I saw the dress, Olivia's dress. My chest tightened. My jaw locked. It wasn't a casual kiss. It was deep, like they'd done it 100 times before. And it was James. I stood frozen, both drinks in my hand, just stunned. They eventually noticed me. Olivia's eyes went wide with panic. I turned around and walked straight back to our table. She ran after me, whispering something about how she could explain. I said nothing. I sat back down, my mind spinning. My world was upside down. We drove home in silence, Olivia trying to act normal, chatting with Grace about the night. I couldn't speak. Olivia reached over to hold my hand, but I couldn't do it. Not now. Not after what I saw. That night, I pretended everything was fine for Grace. She gave me a hug and wished me good night. I gave her a weak smile and said I loved her. Later, when Olivia came to bed, she tried to talk, but I rolled away from her. I could not look at her. The next morning, I woke up angry and exhausted. Olivia turned to me and asked if I was okay, but I didn't answer. I rolled away from her, still boiling with rage. Her soft words and attempts to comfort me fell flat. I couldn't look at her. Sleep never came that night, not really. Just a storm of thoughts and images that wouldn't stop playing in my head. By the time sunlight started to pour through the curtains, I knew this day was going to be hard. Really hard. After I cleaned up and got dressed, I walked back into the bedroom. Olivia was already awake, sitting up in bed, looking nervous. "Good morning, sweetheart. Did you sleep all right?" she asked, like everything was normal. I just stood there for a second, staring at her. Then I threw on a t-shirt and jeans, turned to her with a look I didn't even try to soften, and said, "How long?" She didn't say a word, just stared down at her hands, like she couldn't even face me. I walked out of the room. Downstairs, I barely tasted breakfast. My head was spinning, trying to come to terms with what I saw and what I knew deep down. Our lives were about to change. I had no idea how to face it, but I knew it was coming. Olivia had always been affectionate, loving, kisses, hugs, gentle touches. Every day, we'd been married for years, and I never once thought she'd even look at another man. So how was it possible that this same woman had been with someone else, her boss, no less, while still acting like the perfect wife at home? I left the house and took a long drive to clear my head. But eventually, I turned back around. I needed answers. When I got back, Olivia was sitting out on the patio with a cup of coffee, staring out over the lake. I didn't say anything at first. I poured myself a coffee and sat beside her. I didn't look at her. I just asked again, "How long?" She didn't answer at first. But then, after what felt like forever, I saw the tears start rolling down her cheeks. Her voice was soft and shaky when she finally spoke. 3 years, she said. My stomach turned. I asked her again just to be sure I heard it right. And she nodded. She said it happened on the nights she worked late. That was all I needed to hear. I felt like I had been kicked in the gut. All those nights I trusted her, all those times I thought she was just staying late to help her boss, she was really with him. I started doing the math in my head. 2 nights a week, every week, for 3 years. That was over 300 times. I said it out loud, more to myself than to her. Over 500 times you went behind my back. And you expect me to what? Understand? Forget it. She tried to explain. She started talking about how it wasn't what I thought. That she still loved me. I told her to stop. I didn't want to hear it. I stood up, leaving her sitting there sobbing, and went for another drive to cool off. I had to figure out what to do next. The only person I could think to call was my brother, David. We grew up close, but we'd taken different paths. David spent 5 years in federal prison for drug trafficking. Meanwhile, I stayed clean, went to church, built a life the straight and narrow way. We didn't talk often, but I'd helped him when he was in trouble, and I knew he'd be there for me now. When he picked up, I just told him I needed to talk. Olivia's been cheating on me, I said. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm driving around in circles. David didn't even hesitate. Man, I'm so sorry, he said. You know who it is? I nodded. Her boss, James. It's been going on for years. He gave me the kind of advice only a guy like him could give. Raw, but real. Don't do anything stupid, he said. Use that anger. Hit the gym. Go run. Do something physical, burn it off. But stay sharp. You gotta think long term. I got your back. Just don't say too much right now, and act normal until you figure out your move. I told him thanks. Promised to call the next day with an update. As I was driving, I passed a mattress store and had an idea. I wasn't leaving this marriage, not yet. Grace was only 15, and I didn't want her to go through a divorce before heading off to college. That meant I had to stick it out for 2 more years. But there was no way I was sharing a bed with Olivia ever again. I went inside the store, picked out 2 full-size beds, headboards and all. I paid full price to get them delivered that afternoon. Even paid extra to have the delivery guys break down the king-sized bed and get it out of the house. Then I picked Grace up from school and took her out to lunch. I knew I had to say something. She was too smart not to know something was off. I told her there were going to be some changes at home. She looked at me and said, "Dad, I saw your face last night. Something happened. Tell me the truth." I took a deep breath and explained that I had seen her mom kissing someone at the event. "It wasn't just a quick kiss," I said. "It was something more." Then I told her everything. That her mom had been having an affair with her boss for 3 years. That it had wrecked me. Tears filled her eyes. "Are you going to divorce her?" "I don't know yet," I said. "We're not rushing into anything. But things will be different now." I reminded her that both of us still loved her. That she wasn't to blame. That this was between me and Olivia, and she didn't have to pick sides. When we got home, Olivia saw Grace's face and knew I had told her. Grace walked right past her without a word and went to her room. I told Olivia she had every right to know. Later, Olivia tried again to talk. She begged me to give her a chance to understand. Said she still loved me and didn't want to lose what we had. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "You were with him over 500 times. Do you really think there's something you could say that would fix that?" She didn't answer. I told her what hurt the most wasn't just the sex. It was the closeness we lost. The little things. The hand on my shoulder. The way she used to say my name. That stuff was gone. I told her I couldn't be with her anymore. Not that way. No more kisses. No more affection. No more intimacy. And then I told her something that shocked even me. I was done being faithful. I'd stayed loyal for our entire marriage, and she threw it away. So I'd find someone else. I'd have lovers, and she'd have to live with that. I told her if she still wanted to be with James, I wasn't stopping her. She had already taken everything from me that mattered. When I told Olivia I was done being faithful, she looked like I'd knocked the wind out of her. She actually stumbled back and fell onto the couch, completely stunned. I don't think she ever really understood what her betrayal had done, not until that moment. I meant every word. After what she'd done with James, I couldn't see her the same way anymore. There was no trust left, no warmth, and no way I was going to stay faithful while she got to act like nothing had happened. Right about then, the doorbell rang. It was the delivery guys I'd scheduled. They were there to haul away our old bed and install the 2 new ones I'd bought. Olivia asked what was going on, still reeling. I told her straight, I couldn't share a bed with her anymore. But I also wasn't going to move into a guest room like I'd done something wrong. So I bought 2 full beds. One for each of us. We'd be sleeping in the same room, but not together, not anymore. She stared at me in disbelief. "We're going to sleep in separate beds?" I nodded. "Yeah, it wouldn't be fair for either of us to leave this room. But we can't pretend this is the same marriage it used to be. It's not." Watching the movers take apart the bed we'd shared for nearly 2 decades felt like someone was tearing a chapter out of my life. I felt sick. Angry. Just hollow. Later that day, I called David, my brother, and filled him in on the whole thing. I told him Olivia had admitted to sleeping with James Blake, her boss, 2 nights a week, for 3 damn years. Over 500 times. He was just as shocked as I was. "Damn, Mike," he said. That's brutal." "Yeah," I replied. "It's humiliating. And the worst part is I never saw it coming." David asked what I planned to do. I told him I'd stick around until Grace left for college in 2 years. But after that, Olivia and I were through. And until then, I was going to make her life as uncomfortable as possible. I told her if she filed for divorce before Grace graduated, I'd make sure everyone knew exactly what she did, and it would destroy her professionally. David paused, then said, "You want me to take care of that James guy?" I told him no. The last thing I needed was for him to get into trouble on my account. I said I'd handle it myself, but I appreciated the offer. Home life got worse as the days passed. Olivia tried to talk to me, but I barely said more than a word at a time. I buried myself in work, often staying late just to avoid going home. Weekends weren't much better. The air in the house was heavy, like we were all holding our breath. One night after work, I came home to find Olivia in bed, waiting. I hated it. I hated how it reminded me that just a few feet away from me, she used to be the person I loved more than anything. She asked me how my day was. Fine, I muttered, not even looking at her. She told me she understood I didn't want anything to do with her anymore, but that she still loved me. She even said she was thinking about quitting her job. She wanted to be more present. For me, she claimed. Said we didn't need the money. That made me snap. I sat up in bed and looked her dead in the eye. I don't care what you do anymore, Olivia. Quit your job. Keep it. I don't care. Because you're not part of my life the way you used to be. I told her she'd broken something in me that I couldn't put back together. She started crying again. She begged me to talk to her, to try to see how sorry she was. She said she missed the way we used to be, the way we used to hold each other, how we used to love each other. She said she didn't know how to fix it, but she wanted to try. Then she brought up Grace. Said the tension in the house was affecting her, and that maybe we should go to counseling, for our daughter's sake. I sighed. As much as I hated the idea of being in a room talking about this nightmare, she wasn't wrong. Grace was suffering, and she deserved better than this mess. So I said yes. We'll go, but I'm doing this for Grace, not for you. Olivia looked relieved, like she'd been holding her breath for days. Her tears kept coming, but now there was a hint of hope in them. The next evening, she told me she'd already found a therapist, someone named Dr. Taylor. She had her first solo appointment the next day and scheduled our first couples session for that Friday at 3 in the afternoon. When I told Grace about the therapy, she lit up. Said she hoped it meant we might get back to how things used to be. That smile, it was the first real one I'd seen on her face in weeks. It tore me up inside, and I knew I had to keep going for her. When Olivia got back from her first session, she looked wrecked. Puffy eyes, red face. I could tell she'd cried the whole time. And honestly, I didn't feel sorry for her. She deserved to face what she'd done. That week, David called again. He told me he'd reached out to some old connections, people who owed him favors. Not money, just old street debts from back in the day. I got nervous and told him again not to do anything illegal. He promised it wouldn't be like that. Just something to make James Blake feel a little heat. David said he gave them James's name, workplace, and phone number. Turns out, when Olivia told James that I knew about the affair, it hit him hard. He'd fallen for her. They both acted like those couple hours a week didn't matter. Like it was harmless. Just two friends blowing off steam. But they were kidding themselves. Their fun came at the expense of the people who really loved them. When Friday came, we met with Dr. Taylor. She welcomed us in and thanked me for showing up. Said Olivia had already filled her in on her side of things. Dr. Taylor explained how these sessions would be honest and confidential, no judgment, just space to talk. She asked Olivia to share her hopes for counseling. Olivia turned to me with tears in her eyes and said she wanted to fix things. She wanted to rebuild our family. She missed the way we used to be, emotionally and physically. Her voice cracked, but I could tell she meant it. Still, I just sat there, listening, watching. Then Dr. Taylor turned to me and asked what my goal was. I looked at both of them and took a breath. My goal, I said, is to kill the anger before it kills everything else I care about. That number, 500, never left my mind. It stuck with me like a scar I couldn't cover. As soon as I mentioned it in our next session, I saw Olivia flinch and drop her gaze. Dr. Taylor looked puzzled and asked me what the number meant. I explained. I told her that I'm an accountant by trade, so numbers mean something to me. And 500? That was the number of times, give or take, that Olivia had slept with James over the last 3 years. 500 times she chose someone else behind my back. It was like the number got burned into my memory. Anytime I saw it, on receipts, on TV, on my phone, I thought of her betrayal. There was a long silence after that. Dr. Taylor addressed me calmly, called me Mr. Evans, and said she understood the pain I was in. She also reminded me that using language meant to wound wasn't going to help. I apologized for letting my emotions get the best of me, and I told her it wasn't meant to be cruel. It was just the truth. My truth. Olivia, still crying, repeated how sorry she was. I started to calm down after that. Dr. Taylor asked again what my goal was with counseling. I told her honestly, I just wanted to learn how to live without the anger. I didn't want Grace to grow up in a house full of hate. I said I needed peace, not for Olivia's sake, but for our daughters. Dr. Taylor thanked me for being open, and we moved on. In the weeks that followed, I did my best to be civil. I spoke kindly, but never with warmth. At home, things were a little better, still strained, but not explosive. Grace seemed to be doing better too. We took her out to dinner, to the movies, and hung out as a family. But people noticed the difference. Friends would ask Olivia why we never touched anymore, why I never kissed her or let her put her hand in mine. The people who had once teased us for being too affectionate now wondered what had gone cold. About 2 weeks after that first therapy session, I heard what happened to James. Apparently, a few men broke into his house. They didn't steal anything. They just roughed him up good and left. He ended up in the hospital. That evening, Olivia told me about the incident. She was shaken. I could tell she thought I might have had something to do with it. I just looked up from my book and said, "Wow, that's something." Then I went right back to reading. She stared at me, trying to read my face. "Do you even care that James got hurt?" she asked. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry your boyfriend got beat up. Should I send flowers? Or do you want to go visit him, darling?" She went quiet after that. Olivia knew, deep down, that showing any sympathy for James could ruin whatever tiny bit of progress we had made. And I think she also knew I was responsible in one way or another, even if she couldn't prove it. Later that week, I got a text from David. Just a thumbs-up emoji. That was our last contact for a long while. Surprisingly, nothing ever came from the police. They opened a file, took the report, but didn't follow up. I figured they had bigger problems to deal with. Over the next several months, I started dating again. I came home late some nights, sometimes not until the morning. Olivia asked questions at first, but after a while, she figured out it was better to stay quiet. I reminded her we were just housemates now, married on paper, nothing more. We kept it civil for Grace, and eventually, the house stopped feeling like a war zone. Olivia finally began to understand just how much damage she had done. And for once, she stopped trying to play the victim. She kept going to counseling by herself, but I knew it wasn't helping her fix us. That ship had sailed. She was lonely, desperately lonely. The kind of love she used to give, all the kisses and cuddles, I didn't return anymore. And that silence? It broke her. Meanwhile, I found comfort in someone else's arms. That truth only deepened Olivia's sadness. She could see it written all over me, the way I smiled again, the way I slept better. Grace picked up on it too. And even though she still loved her mother, she never let her forget what she'd done to her father. Anytime Olivia tried to blame me for something, Grace would shut it down. She told her mother, plain and simple, "This is your fault. You broke this." When Grace went off to college, I came home one weekend with a folder of papers. Divorce papers. I had thought, many times, about going scorched earth, ruining Olivia's career, taking everything, but in the end, I just wanted peace. So I offered her a clean break. Half the assets, nothing more. She looked at the papers, didn't say a word, and signed. She had learned. She knew better now than to fight. The damage was already done. The love I once had for her was long gone. I had forgiven her in a way, but there was no love left to save. We sold the house and split the money. I moved in with Samantha, a woman 15 years younger than me, full of life, a professional dancer. She had helped me find my joy again. I married her. When Olivia found out, she cried for days. It crushed her. She had spent years hoping I'd come back. She never got over it. She dated, but never found real love again. Her appearance changed, she gained weight, lost that glow. Her bitterness ate away at her. Grace stayed close to her, but even that relationship was strained. Olivia would bring me up, and Grace would cut her off. She didn't hate her mother, but she would never forgive her either. Olivia poured herself into her work. She became a psychologist, probably hoping to make peace with her past by helping others. I hear she's married now again, but I don't know much about it. I stopped caring a long time ago. As for me, I'm happy, truly, but I'll always carry that scar, the number 500 burned into my soul.